because we are our sex. Like the older I get, the more I'm realizing everything I do, want to be, want to eat, it all comes from, it comes from
Power.
that.
It's like a power source.
From, 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 that's some good intel. I will say that I feel like, and I wrote this slightly, like I wrote this in my piece, that when it comes to orgasm, the older I am getting, the more like, whew, the more like in my body, deep in my body, and loud I am. There we go. There we go, Substack. That's some intel. But that's why you couldn't pay me to go back to my 20s and have sex. Like I'm like loving my life at 45 and doing all those things. It's just my body's different. Again, let me repeat, you could not pay me to go back to my 20s and having sex. I was like vibrator-tastic, felt the things, had some there were some adorable men in my 20s, wonderful humans, but it just like, I didn't know what I was doing. And I will admit this here. I am, not to say, different strokes for different folks, but right around this time last year, I just like went cold turkey on vibrators. I was like, all right, Brooke, this is also part of my homework. I know everyone's like, what?
Vibrator cold turkey.
I needed to remember what my body itself was capable of doing on its own. And it's sort of like quitting caffeine for a minute or quitting alcohol for a minute. Your body kind of has to reset, because I just was this is just me, but I just was so reliant on the bells and the whistles and the things to get me. And I just kind of love where I am right now. Not to say I won't change, but I love just like getting there naturally. And maybe it took me a little longer, but like back to how I feel when it comes up and out, it is like, what do I sometimes jokingly refer to? What's the fountain? It's like the Bellagio fountain.
That is a visual.
So I joke with my man. I'm like, Bellagio fountain, let's go. I love that my man is 15 years older than me, and he is, not a spring chicken. And also he is like, so, I love that he is, knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and, I imagine you feel similarly about your partner, and like, it's cute to maybe have a minute with someone really young and inexperienced, but, give me an older, more worn, skin not perfect. That's my thing. 365. And what you said about, it's like anything in life. If someone's like doesn't want to talk to you about the thing, I don't know about you, but I'm like, I'm going to read everything I possibly can about it. I want to know everything. I want to talk to everyone. If I have to like, I remember being younger, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but I remember being at like a friend's house, and like there was like a stash of VHS, like,
oh yes,
some naughty tapes. And I was like, what's on the naughty tapes? Like, I'm going to have to watch one, just because there was how else were we going to, if our parents weren't really talking about it. And I had younger siblings, so they were no use to me and educating me. It was just me and my girlfriends. And so it was through like sneak grabbing a sexy magazine when we were 18 off of, out of a bookstore, or finding a VHS tape, and then like, smooching some boys or girls or what have you. That's how we educated ourselves. And we should be talking about this out loud. So much of sex is still very vulnerable and very taboo in our culture. I made the point in my piece that I wrote yesterday about the movie Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson, and how like we all sort of like went to the theater or watched the screeners and I'll speak for myself. I had a lot of thoughts about desires, kinks, wants, what made me uncomfortable, and we just aren't talking about it enough. And I think the more people write, like Marielle wrote the piece in the Times, the more you, Shannon, like you're talking about sex and I'm talking about sex, that I was like a bit of a late bloomer. I didn't have whatever, I'm just gonna say the things. I didn't have sex till I was in college, I was a little later than a lot of my friends, and I remember walking into a party, this is gonna sound, but I felt so in my body at that point, and I was, like, just so ready, that I essentially, like, found someone I knew, and I was basically like, "You, let's go." Like, I was just it was such an it's like it was such an intentional decision, and, like, blessed he wanted to have a relationship. I was just like, I needed to, like, have this knowledge in my body, be safe about it, be with someone I knew, and then, like, build this sexual journey in my life. And I think that maybe unlike you, I always knew that sex was something that I was going to enjoy as well, and I've always been very healthy in that way. But I think something happened between, and I've always been very hungry and very healthy. And somewhere in my marriage, and I wrote about this in a previous Substack, the first Substack I really sort of opened up about sex a couple months ago. Oh my God, I was so attracted to my husband. And at some point, we just weren't always, like, geographically on the same continent. And when you go a while, it's like going to the gym. For me, if you're not in that practice,
Yep.
you just stop needing the reps, for lack of a better word. And what's been so beautiful in my current situation with my hunky man is it is like I wrote in my piece, it's oxygen to me. And and also, it is not because of him, it is because of me.
Mm.
And
Let's move to technology. So we had talked about this offline. We've both done the Mona Lisa laser.
laser. Oh, I didn't know you. Yes.
I do it every 6 months.
Yes, I've done it once, and I'm due, I guess, 2 more months, just to, like, it helps. What basically, like, I haven't done it to my face, but, when you're lasered, it builds up collagen. It builds up collagen there as well. You probably know more
Yes.
about than I do.
So basically, you lay down like you're having an exam,
Yep.
and it is like an ultrasound wand that puts out heat waves. It is not painful at all. They use some numbing cream, but
Yeah.
they use it on your entire vagina. They use it everywhere. And
Yep.
what I thought was interesting is not only so your tissue can get really dry, it can get really fragile as you go through menopause, and not
Or
only
thin. Yeah.
thin, exactly. So sex for some people feels like they're having sex with sandpaper
Yeah.
if you're having penetrative sex. And so it's really beneficial to keep your vaginal tissue healthy. But also, here's something no one told me. I, except my doctor, when I finally went, he said orgasms change the way they feel as you get older for a variety of reasons. One is has to do with the lack of hormones, and two just has to do with age, right? Nerve endings, tissue, all of that. And so I have found a huge difference doing the Mona Lisa laser with the feeling of an orgasm. Like it feels back like I was, 20s, 30s and not like I'm in my 50s.
How many Mona Lisa rounds have you done?
He told me I needed to do 3 within the first, certain amount of time. It might have been like 6 to 9 months, and now
Yeah.
I just do them every 6 months. And he said this replaces the need for me to use vaginal estrogen.
Interesting. Okay, so I am using that estrogen every other day because I actually had I just had a UTI that got out of control, and then I went to another continent, and it was mistreated, and so I just needed to really, like, it was like a whole 911, like, just take care of myself. Everyone just hit pause. And so then just building back up, I've done all of the above, and now I feel great.